Hi, I'm Jody, also known as the Placenta Lady. I have worked with new mothers for the past 6 years, and I am here to answer your questions. No question is too strange for the Placenta Lady. So our question for this segment is, I hear from everywhere that breastfeeding is the healthiest option for my baby. But I also hear that it's really hard. What if I can't do it? Well, this is a great question, and I bet a lot of moms can relate to this one. So, joining us as our guest today is Jollina Simpson, mother of two. She is also an international board-certified lactation counselor and a certified Lamaze educator and a doula. She's been in practice in Las Vegas since 2003. Thanks for being with us today, Jollina.
Thanks for having me, Jody.
So, what is the number one thing women can do before the baby arrives to have an easier time starting out with breastfeeding?
First of all, taking an independent breastfeeding class is really great because then you have an understanding and a foundation of how the body works and how your baby's going to help you with breastfeeding. And the second most important thing is making sure you have support around you and you know where your support groups are, you know where your lactation counselor's number is, so that if you do need extra help, you need additional help, you can put your hands on it right away. So you're not just sitting out there in the world wondering if you're the only person who's ever gone through this.
Right. So how would a woman find an independent breastfeeding class? What do you mean by that?
An independent breastfeeding class is one offered in the community, not necessarily sponsored by any particular company or organization. And they are given by lactation educators, and they're given by women who have actually studied breastfeeding as opposed to the nurse on the floor who drew the shirt straw.
Okay. So say a woman wants to take a class. Where would she find one? How would she?
I would say first, again, the internet.
Okay.
Just Google breastfeeding classes, Las Vegas. That'd be a big start.
Okay. So they're pretty easy to find then.
I think so.
Okay. What is one of the main things to avoid that could compromise the breastfeeding relationship right from the start?
I think bottles, number one.
Okay.
That would be one thing to avoid because you want to establish a good breastfeeding relationship first. And if you start initiating bottles and pacifiers and not feeding often and not feeding early, then you're going to mess with your milk supply, and that in turn will mess with the breastfeeding relationship.
Okay, so are you saying moms shouldn't give a bottle? I mean, what if her partner is really set on feeding the baby?
No, I think giving bottles is okay, but you really do want to make sure that your milk supply is strong in the beginning. So in the beginning, it's really good to have just mom and baby breastfeeding. And then after that milk supply is well established, this is really the first couple of weeks. It's not, the first 6 months. It's just the first couple of weeks, and then you can start initiating pumping and bottle feeding and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so it is possible to do both,
Absolutely.
bottle and breast.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And most moms have to do both because we don't really live in that world where moms are home all the time. Most women are returning to work, so
Right.
they need to.
Right. And I think that is a common misconception as well. I hear a lot that if you breastfeed your baby, you're tied to the house.
Not at all. First of all, babies are super portable and they don't have a whole bunch of stuff they have to take with them.
Right.
So when you're breastfeeding, you've got food ready, food available right there, baby's ready to go, and you can just go and take your baby out into the world and breastfeed. Also, when you're breastfeeding and you want to go out just for mommy time, it just takes a little bit of pre-planning, a little bit of pumping so that you can leave a supply there with dad or grandma or the sitter so that you can go out and have fun too. Get your nails done, something.
Mama time.
Yeah.
So what about the breast thing? Is it true that moms who nurse their babies have saggier breasts than moms who don't?
That is a great question. I hear it all the time. Breastfeeding totally gets a bad rap on that one. It's actually the hormones in pregnancy and the additional fat tissue that the body builds up during pregnancy that is lost over time while you're breastfeeding that make your boobs saggy. That and genetics and age. So obviously you're a year older when you complete that breastfeeding career. So blame your mother, blame time, but it's not usually breastfeeding.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah, something else to blame your mother for.
Exactly, right? So I've also heard that moms who nurse their babies don't get as much sleep at night. Is that true?
That's actually not true. In the early weeks of postpartum, both bottle-fed mothers who are bottle feeding and mothers who are breastfeeding are getting equal amounts of time in sleeping. But as time goes on, the breastfeeding mother actually starts to get more and more sleep compared to the bottle-fed baby. So that's a little bit of a misconception.
Wow. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing all of this great information with us, Jollina. You can find Jollina at the Well-Rounded Baby Boutique and at Well-Rounded Mama. She's available for consultations if you're having trouble with breastfeeding. And you can also find links for more information and to contact Jollina at asktheplacentalady.com. So remember, moms, if you don't know, ask the Placenta Lady.